Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes. So, Grace, I wanted to dive in and talk a little bit about your career and some of the things that you've done, because you've done some really amazing things. When you start thinking about yourself in your own journey, particularly with AI has been the discussion topic here for this whole conference. Talk to me a little bit about what your journey has been like and kind of where you are now.
Yeah, well, I started as a lawyer, Miguel, and so I feel like lawyers were the original human data processors because we would get handed a claim or a case, and we had to learn all about our client and the problem and everything about it. And then we had to craft a strategy, and we have to manage lots of documents and information. And then we have to distill that and present it to a jury or a judge. And that was the beginning. So I spent 14 years doing that. And then I go into insurance, and I find that handling claims is a lot like that, except now as an adjuster, you're handling 100, 150, 200 of those all at the same time and having to move them forward. And so that is the beginning of my belief that somehow we had to solve this problem of how to help people at scale do this. And so I became a very early proponent of data analytics. You probably know that. And a really early adopter of new technology, because anything I could find to help my team accelerate their ability to handle claims well and to take care of all the stakeholders was, to me, a plus.
I'm very curious as to how you kind of overcome that resistance, that technology resistance.
Yeah. Well, I think every company is different and the level of resistance is different. So, for instance, I was at HomeSite, which was the first InsurTech, and they had a lot of in-house developers. And it was at HomeSite I achieved the most in terms of impact, in terms of cost per claim, outcomes, the ability to ingest new technologies, because they had their own mature tech team, mature data analytics team, versus other companies. Like, I remember one company, they just put in this new claim system and it didn't do the reinsurance layoffs, which is kind of a technical thing. But I kept saying, why doesn't it do this? Because it was built by a reinsurance company. And it turned out the tech people didn't even realize it could do that.
Right.
So it wasn't even bringing new technology. It was leveraging the capability of the technology they already had. Yeah. They didn't know how to do that. I've learned to be very detailed. I have personally been known to do spreadsheets itemizing different functionality and ROIs by line item to bring it to the level of the executives to say, I know you don't think there's value here, but there is value here. And here's your internal cost to implement. Here's the return if you implement it, and the run rate, the break even. I've just learned to master those, and it's made a difference. It's allowed me to achieve results a lot of people haven't been able to achieve, actually.
I love that. So really hitting on that why is critical, especially at that executive level. But something you said is kind of interesting to me, and I heard this a little bit on some of the panels. I feel like from your comment, these tech-native insurance companies have an inherent advantage over perhaps some of the legacy carriers because they're starting from the technology. Is that a fair assessment?
I think what's a fair assessment is if you start with a data structure that is accessible to AI tools, yes, you have an inherent advantage, because most of these insurance companies, their data is stored in multiple different systems. They may not even be fully in the cloud. They may not have their data stored in a lake in a way that you can access it, or it's stored in a tabular form. So if you're AI native, which you asked that question to begin with, and we're an AI native TPA, it's because we started ground up from a data architecture where our data is semi-structured, and we can structure it if we need to.
Sure.
But to get to it, we don't have that base level limitation around our data. We can literally surface any information that a customer wants without having to go through all of the more traditional warehousing. So yes, it is an inherent advantage.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.